A tech CEO went on a blind date for his brother, but fell in love for a poor girl at first sight. Marcus Rivera, at just 24, had already conquered Silicon Valley. His revolutionary AI platform transformed how small businesses operate globally, making him the youngest billionaire on the West Coast. But success came with a price: complete isolation in a world where everyone wanted something from him. Have you ever wondered what would happen if someone worth billions fell for someone who couldn't even pay rent? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. A billionaire tech CEO walks into an upscale restaurant wearing his signature ash gray Armani suit, expecting a simple 5-minute apology. Instead, he locks eyes with a 21-year-old waitress in a stunning emerald dress who's about to lose everything she's worked for. What happens next will challenge everything you think you know about love, money, and what really matters in life. Have you ever wondered what would happen if someone worth billions fell for someone who couldn't even pay rent? Someone who had no idea who he was and treated him like any other customer? This is the story of Marcus Rivera and Zara Okafor, two people from completely different worlds whose unexpected encounter was about to prove that sometimes the universe has its own way of bringing the right people together at exactly the wrong time. Marcus Rivera, at just 24, had already conquered Silicon Valley. His revolutionary AI platform transformed how small businesses operate globally, making him the youngest billionaire on the West Coast. But success came with a price: complete isolation in a world where everyone wanted something from him. Zara Okafor had moved from Lagos, Nigeria, 3 years earlier with nothing but dreams and determination. Working 3 jobs while attending community college part-time, she sent most of her earnings home to support her mother's cancer treatment. Every day was a battle between survival and ambition, between giving up and pushing forward. Neither of them knew that a simple case of mistaken identity at Cafe Luna in San Francisco's Mission District was about to change both their lives forever. A mix-up involving Marcus's shy brother Daniel, a dating app match named Isabella, and the worst day of Zara's life would create a collision that defied every rule about love, class, and compatibility. If you've ever felt like you're fighting the world alone, or wondered whether genuine connection can survive in a society obsessed with status and wealth, this story will shake you to your core. Because what started as Marcus pretending to need help reading a menu turned into the most authentic conversation of his privileged life. The twist that nobody saw coming? When Marcus offered to pay Zara's rent as a generous tip, she refused and told him to donate it to charity instead. For the first time in his adult life, Marcus had found someone who saw him for who he truly was, not what his bank account could provide. But here's the controversy that divided everyone who heard this story. Can love really bridge the gap between a penthouse overlooking San Francisco Bay and a cramped apartment facing eviction? Can someone who's never worried about money understand someone who counts every dollar? And most importantly, what happens when the person you're falling for discovers you've been hiding the most important truth about yourself? Follow along as we dive into a love story that sparked debates about authenticity, privilege, and whether happily ever after is possible when one person could buy the other's entire world without checking their bank balance. This isn't just a romance. It's a mirror that reflects our society's complicated relationship with wealth, class, and what we truly value in the people we love. Now, let me take you back to where it all began, with a young woman facing the worst day of her life, completely unaware that a stranger in an expensive suit was about to walk through her door and change everything. Zara Okafor's alarm buzzed at 4:17 a.m., cutting through her exhausted sleep like a knife. 3 hours. That's all the rest she'd managed between finishing her overnight grocery store shift and starting another day that would test every ounce of strength she had left. Her cramped studio apartment in the Tenderloin district felt smaller each morning. The walls seemed to close in as she moved through her practiced routine. Instant coffee, yesterday's leftover bread, and checking her phone for the money transfer confirmation to Lagos. Her mother's chemotherapy treatment cost more than Zara made in 2 months, but quitting wasn't an option. It had never been an option. The community college textbooks, stacked on her makeshift desk, mocked her exhaustion. Pediatric nursing required focus, dedication, and time, three luxuries her survival schedule couldn't accommodate. Yet she pushed forward, attending classes between jobs, studying during 15-minute breaks, dreaming of the day she could wear scrubs instead of serving trays. Her phone buzzed with a text that made her stomach drop. Rent overdue. 48 hours or eviction proceedings begin. Management. 48 hours. Zara calculated quickly. Her restaurant shift today, grocery store tonight, tutoring session tomorrow morning. Even if she worked every available hour, she'd still be $300 short. Her hands trembled as she typed responses to her mother's cheerful messages from Lagos, hiding the crisis behind emoji and false optimism. The walk to Cafe Luna took 23 minutes through streets that never slept. Homeless tents lined the sidewalks, reminders of how thin the line was between making it and losing everything. Zara had walked this path every day for 8 months, watching gentrification transform her neighborhood while pricing out people like her. At the restaurant, morning prep meant slicing vegetables with precision while her mind raced through impossible mathematics. Tips from lunch service, grocery store wages, tutoring payment, no combination added up to survival. Her manager, Kevin, had already warned her about the customer complaint from last week. One more incident could cost her this job, and without it, everything would collapse. Zara, table 6 wants extra attention today, Kevin announced as the lunch rush began. VIP treatment. Don't mess this up. She nodded, forcing a smile that had become automatic. The emerald dress her roommate had convinced her to buy for interviews hung in her locker, saved for special occasions that never came. Today felt different, though. Desperate times called for desperate measures, and maybe wearing something that made her feel confident would help her earn the tips she desperately needed. As she changed into the dress, Zara caught her reflection in the employee bathroom mirror. 3 years in America had changed her. Harder edges, tired eyes, but still fighting. Her mother always said, "Every challenge prepares you for your purpose." She had no idea that purpose was about to walk through the front door. Marcus Rivera stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse, watching San Francisco Bay shimmer in the morning light. 43 floors above the city, surrounded by modern art and custom furniture that cost more than most people's annual salaries. He felt completely alone. His reflection stared back, 24 years old, worth $2.8 billion, and emptier than the day he'd started his company in a garage 3 years ago. Success had arrived faster than anyone predicted. His AI platform revolutionized small business operations worldwide, earning him magazine covers, conference keynotes, and a social circle that valued his net worth more than his opinions. The irony wasn't lost on him. He'd created technology that connected millions of people, yet couldn't form a genuine connection himself. Every conversation felt transactional, every relationship contaminated by what he could provide rather than who he actually was. His phone buzzed with the usual morning briefing: stock prices, acquisition opportunities, interview requests. 37 companies wanted partnerships, 12 charities requested donations, and his assistant had scheduled back-to-back meetings until 8 p.m. Another day of being Marcus Rivera, CEO, while the person inside that title slowly disappeared. Daniel's panic call interrupted his coffee routine. His younger brother's voice cracked with desperation through the phone. "Marcus, I need your help." I finally matched with someone incredible on that dating app, Isabella. We've been talking for weeks, and she seems genuinely interested in my graphic design work. Not, the family connection. But I got food poisoning last night, and our first date is in 2 hours. I can't ghost her, man. She's different. Marcus listened to his brother's rambling explanation, recognizing the hope in Daniel's voice. His shy, talented brother had struggled with dating apps for months, watching potential matches lose interest when they discovered he wasn't the wealthy Rivera sibling. "Please, just go to Cafe Luna and explain what happened. 5 minutes, that's all. I can't have her thinking I don't care." The request was absurd. Marcus had board meetings, investor calls, and a company acquisition to finalize. But something in Daniel's voice, genuine affection for someone who didn't know their family's wealth, made him pause. What does she look like? That's the thing. I only know her name is Isabella, but she'll be there at noon, and you're better with people than I am. Just be yourself, not the CEO version. Be yourself. When was the last time Marcus had done that? When was the last time someone had seen him as anything other than a business opportunity or social trophy? Against every logical instinct, Marcus found himself agreeing. He'd drive to the Mission District, apologize to Isabella, and return to his scheduled life within 30 minutes. He had no idea he was about to meet the only person in San Francisco who would treat him like he was worth nothing and change everything. Cafe Luna buzzed with the energy of San Francisco's tech crowd, mixing with local artists and students. The lunch rush created a perfect storm of overworked servers, demanding customers, and split-second timing that could make or break a shift. Zara moved through the controlled chaos with practiced grace, her emerald dress catching natural light from the large windows. She balanced plates, took orders, and maintained her professional smile while her mind calculated tips from each table. Table 6 still sat empty, waiting for the VIP customer Kevin had mentioned. Across the city, Marcus sat in his Tesla, debating whether to turn around. The Mission District felt foreign after months of sterile boardrooms and exclusive restaurants. His ash-gray Armani suit suddenly seemed excessive for a simple apology, but changing clothes would mean admitting this mattered more than a quick favor for Daniel. He parked outside Cafe Luna and surveyed the packed restaurant through tinted windows. Finding Isabella without knowing what she looked like would be impossible. The smart move was calling Daniel with an excuse and returning to his scheduled life. Instead, something pulled him toward the restaurant's entrance. Zara glanced at the clock. 12:03 p.m. The lunch rush was hitting its peak, and table 6 remained empty. Kevin's stress level increased with every passing minute, and his anxiety transferred directly to the staff. One more disappointment could trigger the complaint that ended her employment. The hostess gestured frantically toward a young woman arguing near the entrance. Long dark hair, designer handbag, checking her phone repeatedly, possibly Isabella waiting for Daniel. But the woman seemed agitated, not excited about a first date. Marcus entered the restaurant and immediately felt overwhelmed by the noise and energy. His world of quiet boardrooms and private dining hadn't prepared him for this level of sensory input. Scanning for Isabella became impossible as conversations blended together and servers rushed past with loaded trays. Near the hostess station, he noticed a confrontation developing. A woman in an emerald dress was clearly upset, fighting back tears while maintaining professional composure. She wasn't arguing aggressively, more like someone receiving devastating news while trying not to break down publicly. The woman's resilience in the face of obvious distress captivated him. Here was someone fighting a battle he recognized, the exhaustion of carrying weight that threatened to crush you, while presenting a strong facade to the world. Marcus made a decision that defied logic. Instead of searching for Isabella, he approached the woman in emerald, initially thinking she might be his intended meeting. "Excuse me, are you Isabella?" She looked up with tear-filled eyes and the most genuine smile he'd seen in years. "Isabella." Zara wiped her eyes quickly, confused by the stranger's question. "No, im suri, im thara. I work here. Are you looking for someone?" Marcus paused, studying her face. This wasn't Isabella, but something about her authenticity made him hesitant to walk away. Her tears were real, her struggle visible, and her immediate concern for helping him despite her obvious distress struck him as remarkably selfless. "I was supposed to meet someone, but..." Marcus gestured vaguely toward the crowded restaurant. "This place is busier than I expected." Kevin appeared beside them, his manager's smile forced and tense. "Sir, I apologize for any confusion. Zara, shouldn't you be checking on your tables?" The subtle reprimand made Zara's shoulders tighten. Marcus caught the dynamic immediately. She was walking on thin ice, and any disruption could cost her the job she desperately needed. Actually, Marcus heard himself saying, "I was hoping to get a table in her section, if that's possible." Kevin's demeanor shifted instantly, recognizing expensive clothing and the confidence that came with wealth. "Of course. Zara, please seat this gentleman at table 6. Give him your complete attention." As they walked toward the corner table, Marcus noticed how Zara moved through the restaurant, efficient, aware of every detail, treating each customer with genuine care despite her personal crisis. Her professionalism impressed him more than most business presentations he'd endured. "Can I start you with something to drink?" Zara asked, her voice steady despite the morning's chaos. Marcus opened the menu, then looked up with a slight smile. "Actually, I have to admit something embarrassing. I don't eat out much, and some of these dishes, could you help me understand what's good?" It was a complete lie. Marcus had dined at the world's finest restaurants, but he wanted to extend their interaction. Something about her presence felt like the first genuine human connection he'd experienced in months. Zara's expression softened, and for the first time that day, her smile reached her eyes. "Of course. What kind of flavors do you usually enjoy?" The conversation flowed naturally. Marcus found himself sharing preferences, asking questions, and listening to Zara's descriptions with genuine interest. She talked about the chef's background, ingredient sourcing, and preparation methods with the passion of someone who cared about her work beyond just earning tips. "You really love this place," Marcus observed. "I love taking care of people," Zara corrected. "Food is just a medium. Everyone who sits down here has a story, you know? Some are celebrating, some are stressed, some are lonely. My job is making their experience a little better." Her philosophy struck Marcus profoundly. When was the last time someone had tried to make his experience better without wanting something in return? When had anyone seen him as a person worth caring for rather than a business opportunity? "What about you?" Zara asked, refilling his water glass. "What's your story?" The question should have triggered his standard CEO response. Impressive, but vague details about his company's success. Instead, Marcus found himself wanting to tell her the truth. Not about his wealth, but about who he actually was underneath the billions in business empire. "I think," Marcus said carefully, "I'm someone who's forgotten how to have genuine conversations. Until now, what began as a simple lunch order transformed into something neither Marcus nor Zara had experienced before, a conversation where masks weren't necessary. Forgotten how to have genuine conversations." Zara settled into the chair across from him during a brief lull in restaurant traffic. "That sounds lonely." Marcus stared at his untouched sandwich, surprised by her directness. In his world, people danced around emotions, hiding feelings behind corporate speak and social pleasantries. Zara's honesty felt revolutionary. "It is lonely," he admitted. "When people know certain things about you, they respond to your reputation instead of you. After a while, you forget which version is real." Zara nodded with understanding that caught him off guard. "I get that. People see the accent, the jobs, the struggle, and they make assumptions. Either I'm someone to pity or someone to avoid. They don't see the person working towards something better." "What are you working toward?" Her face lit up with genuine passion. "Pediatric nursing. I want to work with children who are fighting serious illnesses. In Nigeria, I watch my little cousins go through medical challenges without proper care. Here, I'm learning how to be the advocate those children need." Marcus leaned forward, captivated by her clarity of purpose. "That's incredible. How long have you been studying?" 2 years part-time, while working 3 jobs. "It's slow, but every class gets me closer." Zara's expression grew complicated, though some days the financial pressure makes it feel impossible. 3 jobs? Marcus couldn't hide his concern. "That's exhausting." "This, overnight grocery stocking and tutoring kids in math on weekends. My mother is going through cancer treatment in Lagos and her medical bills." Zara's voice trailed off, then strengthened. "But she always says every setback is a setup for a comeback. This struggle is temporary." The phrase hit Marcus with unexpected force. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. In his privileged world, Setbacks meant delayed product launches or challenging negotiations, not choosing between personal dreams and family survival. Your mother sounds wise. She raised 4 children alone after my father died. If she can survive that, I can survive this. Zara checked her watch, then looked back at Marcus. What about your family? What do they think about your conversation challenges? Marcus almost laughed at the irony. His family worried about his isolation, but their solution involved networking events and suitable dating prospects from their social circle. My younger brother keeps trying to fix my social life. He's convinced I need to meet more people. Maybe you need to meet different people, not more people. The observation was so accurate that Marcus fell silent. His entire social circle existed within the same economic stratosphere. Successful, wealthy, and equally isolated from authentic human experience. When had he last talked to someone who worried about rent, who worked multiple jobs, who sacrificed personal comfort for family loyalty? Zara glanced around the restaurant, noting other customers requiring attention. I should check on my other tables, but she hesitated, then continued. This has been really nice. You're easy to talk to. Stay, Marcus said, more urgently than intended. I mean, if you could spare a few more minutes. I'll make sure your tip reflects the excellent service. He pulled out his wallet, extracting several $100 bills. Actually, let me cover your rent situation. Consider it appreciation for the conversation. Zara's expression changed instantly, her warmth replaced by something colder and more guarded. I don't accept charity, she said firmly, standing up. And I don't need rescuing. The wall that slammed down between them was almost physical in its finality. The press conference room at Rivera Technologies buzzed with anticipation as Marcus stepped behind the podium. Every major tech publication, gossip blog, and news outlet had gathered after leaked photos showed the youngest billionaire in Silicon Valley at grocery stores, community colleges, and ordinary restaurants across the city. For 3 weeks, speculation had consumed social media. The mystery woman in the emerald dress had become internet folk. Theories ranged from publicity stunts to secret scandals, each more invasive than the last. Marcus's board had pressured him relentlessly to clarify the situation before it damaged the company's reputation. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus began, his voice steadier than he felt. I called this conference to address the recent media attention regarding my personal life. Camera flashes erupted as reporters leaned forward, expecting a carefully crafted corporate response designed to minimize damage and move past the distraction. Instead, Marcus took a breath and made a decision that would cost him everything he'd built in the business world. The woman you've been speculating about is Zara Okafor. She's a nursing student, a devoted daughter, and someone who works harder than anyone I've ever met. She's also someone who deserves privacy and respect, neither of which you've shown her. The room fell silent. This wasn't the expected deflection or denial. Zara immigrated from Nigeria with dreams of becoming a pediatric nurse. She works 3 jobs to support her education and her mother's medical treatment. She's never asked me for anything, never sought attention, and certainly never deserved to have her life examined by strangers who don't know her story. Marcus's voice grew stronger, fed by genuine anger at the invasion of Zara's privacy. The photos you've published show me learning about a world I'd never experienced. Zara didn't chase me. I pursued her. She didn't want my money. She refused it. She didn't seek publicity. You forced it on her. Reporters shouted questions, but Marcus continued. I'm not here to discuss business strategies or market projections. I'm here to tell you that the most authentic person I've ever met is being harassed because she had the misfortune of meeting me. The business consequences were immediate and severe. Stock prices fluctuated as investors questioned his judgment. Board members demanded emergency meetings. Potential partnerships were reconsidered. Marcus watched his carefully constructed empire react to his moment of genuine humanity. But across the city, in a cramped apartment in the Tenderloin, Zara sat on her bed, watching the press conference on her laptop. Tears streamed down her face as she listened to Marcus defend her character to the world. For the first time since their relationship began, She heard him prioritize her dignity over his reputation. Her phone buzzed with messages from friends, family, and strangers. Her mother called from Lagos, having seen the coverage online. "Zara, this man, he spoke of you like a treasure, like someone worth protecting." The press conference ended with Marcus refusing to answer questions about their relationship status. He'd said what needed saying. Zara deserved respect, privacy, and a chance to live her life without unwanted scrutiny. The question remained, would his public stand be enough to rebuild the trust his wealth had destroyed? 2 days after the press conference, Zara agreed to meet Marcus at a small coffee shop in the Castro district, neutral territory away from both their usual worlds. She arrived 15 minutes early, needing time to process the magnitude of what he'd sacrificed for her dignity. Marcus entered looking different than she remembered. The expensive suits had been replaced with jeans and a simple button-down shirt. His usual confident stride seemed hesitant, uncertain. The man who commanded boardrooms now appeared vulnerable in a way that made her heart ache. "Thank you for coming," Marcus said, settling into the chair across from her. "I wasn't sure you would. Your press conference was unexpected." Zara studied his face, searching for the manipulation she trained herself to recognize. Instead, she found exhaustion in something that looked like hope. "You lost money defending me. I lost some investor confidence," Marcus corrected. "But I gained something more valuable, the chance to show you who I really am when it matters." The admission hung between them like a bridge neither was sure they could cross. Zara had spent weeks building walls against the possibility that Marcus's feelings were genuine. His wealth had contaminated every gesture, every word, every moment of connection they'd shared. "Who are you, really?" Zara asked. "Beyond the money, beyond the company, beyond the reputation. If all of that disappeared tomorrow, what would be left?" Marcus considered the question seriously. Someone who's been lonely for so long, he forgot what genuine connection felt like. Someone who built an empire but lost himself in the process. Someone who met a woman in an emerald dress and remembered what it meant to care about another person more than success. And someone who thought money could fix everything, Zara added, not unkindly. "Yes," Marcus admitted, "that was my biggest mistake. I've lived in a world where every problem has a financial solution. I didn't understand that offering you money felt like reducing you to a charity case rather than recognizing you as an equal." Zara's defenses softened slightly. The man sitting across from her bore little resemblance to the billionaire who tried to solve her problems with cash. This version seemed genuinely humbled by their separation. "My world doesn't work like yours," Zara said carefully. "I can't take risks that might leave me homeless or unable to support my mother. When you offer me money, it felt like you were treating me like a project instead of a person." "I was treating you like a project," Marcus acknowledged, "because I didn't know how to treat you like someone I was falling in love with." The words created a silence that stretched between them, loaded with possibility and fear. Zara felt her carefully constructed walls beginning to crack, not because of his wealth or grand gestures, but because of his willingness to be vulnerable. "I watched your press conference 3 times, Zara admitted. "My mother called from Lagos. She said you spoke about me like someone worth protecting. You are worth protecting. Your dreams, your dignity, your right to privacy. All of it matters more than my reputation or my company's stock price." For the first time in weeks, Zara allowed herself to consider that Marcus's feelings might be authentic. Not because he'd proven his wealth didn't matter, but because he'd proven she mattered more. "Where do we go from here?" she asked. "Wherever you're comfortable going," Marcus replied. "At whatever pace feels right to you." 3 weeks into their cautious rebuilding process, 2 crises struck simultaneously, testing every foundation they'd carefully reconstructed. Marcus's phone rang at 2 a.m. with news that would define his priorities forever. His company faced a hostile takeover attempt orchestrated by competitors who'd capitalized on his recent distraction. The board demanded his immediate and complete attention. Emergency meetings, investor calls, and strategic decisions that would determine whether Rivera Technologies survived or became another Silicon Valley casualty. That same morning, Zara received a call that stopped her world completely. Her mother had been rushed to the hospital in Lagos. The cancer had spread more aggressively than doctors anticipated, and her condition had deteriorated rapidly. The family needed Zara home immediately. The timing was devastating. Marcus stood to lose everything he built if he couldn't focus entirely on saving his company. Zara faced the possibility of losing her mother if she didn't return to Nigeria immediately. Their fragile relationship, still rebuilding from months of mistrust, suddenly seemed insignificant compared to these life-altering emergencies. "Go," Marcus said when Zara called to explain her situation. "Your mother needs you. Family comes first. Your company needs you too," Zara replied, her voice breaking. "We both have to handle our own crises." The conversation felt like a goodbye neither wanted to acknowledge. Long-distance relationships were challenging under normal circumstances, but maintaining connection while both faced potentially devastating losses seemed impossible. Marcus booked Zara's flight to Lagos, despite her protests about accepting his help. "This isn't charity," he said firmly. "This is someone who cares about you making sure you could be where you need to be." As Zara packed, Marcus sat in his office, surrounded by lawyers, accountants, and board members demanding strategic decisions. The hostile takeover required his complete attention for the next several weeks. Missing even one crucial meeting could result in losing control of the company he'd spent 3 years building. But something had shifted in Marcus's understanding of success. The empire that had once defined his worth now felt hollow compared to the woman boarding a plane to Nigeria. His wealth meant nothing if he couldn't use it to support the people who mattered most. Against every piece of business advice he received, Marcus made a decision that shocked everyone who knew him. He delegated the takeover response to his most trusted executives, arranged for daily video conferences to maintain oversight, and booked a flight to Lagos. "You're destroying everything you've worked for," his lead attorney warned. "The board will never forgive this abandonment during a crisis." "Then maybe I need a different board," Marcus replied. "And maybe I need to redefine what constitutes a crisis." 18 hours later, Marcus walked into a hospital in Lagos, Nigeria, having traveled halfway around the world to support a woman who'd taught him the difference between success and significance. He found Zara in the waiting room, exhausted and terrified, surrounded by family members who'd heard stories about the wealthy American but never expected to meet him. "You came," Zara whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I made a choice," Marcus said simply. "The same choice you'd make if someone you love needed you." The ultimate test of their relationship wasn't about money or social status. It was about showing up when everything else demanded you stay away. Lagos, Nigeria, challenged every assumption Marcus had held about developing nations, poverty, and cultural differences. Zara's family welcomed him with warmth that transcended language barriers and economic disparities. Her aunts, uncles, and cousins treated him not as a wealthy American, but as someone important to Zara. Marcus spent his first week learning basic Igbo phrases from Zara's teenage cousin, navigating crowded markets, and participating in family discussions about her mother's treatment options. His presence wasn't about providing financial solutions, though he quietly ensured the best possible medical care, but about showing respect for Zara's world. "He's not what I expected," Zara's mother, Idora, whispered to her daughter after observing Marcus interact with the extended family. "Wealthy men usually demand attention. This one listens more than he speaks." Marcus had indeed been listening. He heard stories of resilience, family loyalty, and community support that his privileged world had never offered. Zara's family faced challenges with dignity and mutual aid that put his isolated success into perspective. Daily video calls with his executive team revealed the mixed results of his absence. The company had successfully fought off the hostile takeover, but some board members questioned his commitment to the business. Stock prices had stabilized, though several investors remained concerned about his priorities. "You're getting a reputation as someone who chooses personal relationships over business obligations," the CFO reported during one video conference. "Some people see that as weakness. Some people are wrong," Marcus replied. Watching Zara help her mother strongest decision I've ever made was coming here. Zara's mother's recovery progressed slowly but steadily. The combination of improved treatment and family support created an environment where healing became possible. Marcus contributed by researching treatment options, coordinating with specialists, and providing the kind of practical support that wealth could offer without condescension. 3 weeks into his stay, Marcus faced a crucial decision. His company needed him back in San Francisco for a major product launch that could define the next phase of Rivera Technologies' growth. The timing conflicted with Zara's mother's final round of treatment and her expected discharge from the hospital. "Go, Zara," urged him. "You've already sacrificed too much for us. Your company needs you." Instead, Marcus made another choice that defied conventional business wisdom. He participated in the product launch via video conference from Lagos, surrounded by Zara's family, speaking to investors and media from a hospital waiting room. The unconventional presentation created buzz throughout the tech industry. Marcus's genuine passion for the product, combined with his obvious personal growth, impressed investors who questioned his focus. The launch exceeded projections, partly because his authenticity resonated with customers tired of corporate artificiality. "You're different," Zara observed as they celebrated both her mother's improved health and his company's success. "Not just with me, but with everyone. More present." "I learned something important here," Marcus replied. "Success isn't about what you accomplish alone. It's about who you become when you're part of something bigger than yourself." The relationship that had begun with mistaken identity at a San Francisco restaurant had evolved into something neither had expected, a partnership that made both of them better versions of themselves. 1 year later, Zara walked across the stage at San Francisco Community College, accepting her associate degree in nursing with honors. The emerald dress had been replaced by cap and gown, but her smile carried the same authenticity that had captivated Marcus during their first conversation at Cafe Luna. Marcus cheered from the audience, surrounded by Zara's extended family who had flown from Lagos for her graduation. His own transformation was evident. The isolated billionaire had become someone who understood the value of community celebration and shared achievement. Their relationship had evolved into something neither money nor social status could define. Marcus had moved out of his penthouse into a modest apartment they chose together. Learning to live within means that honored Zara's values while still allowing his business to thrive. Rivera Technologies had grown more successful after his personal transformation convinced investors that authentic leadership created sustainable value. Zara had accepted a position at UCSF Children's Hospital, specializing in pediatric oncology. Her dream of advocating for children facing serious illnesses had become reality, supported by Marcus's belief in her vision rather than financial dependence on his wealth. The controversy that had initially surrounded their relationship had faded into a love story that inspired others. Their social media presence showcased two people from different worlds who had found common ground in shared values, mutual respect, and genuine affection. Marcus's business had thrived under his more balanced approach to leadership. His company's new initiatives focused on supporting immigrant families and small businesses, reflecting lessons learned from Zara's community. Success had been redefined from personal achievement to collective impact. Zara's mother, now in remission, had moved to San Francisco to be closer to her daughter and the man who had become like a son to her. Her presence reminded them both that family wasn't just about blood relations, but about people who showed up consistently during life's most challenging moments. The proposal happened at Cafe Luna, at the same table where they'd first connected. Marcus had reserved the entire restaurant for the evening, not to display wealth, but to recreate the intimate atmosphere where their authentic connection had begun. "You changed everything for me," Marcus said, kneeling beside the table where Zara had once refused his money and demanded his honesty. "Not because you needed rescuing, but because you rescued me from a life that looked successful but felt empty." "We rescued each other," Zara corrected, tears flowing freely. "You taught me that dreams are worth pursuing, and I taught you that love is worth more than any empire you could build." Their wedding 6 months later celebrated not just their commitment to each other, but their shared dedication to building something meaningful together. The billionaire who had pretended to be broke had discovered that true wealth wasn't measured in bank accounts, but in the depth of authentic human connection. Sometimes the wrong table leads to the right person, and the biggest fortune you can find is someone who loves you for who you are, not what you can provide.